Back at City Guard, the Wargaming Club today, for a game of Warhammer, and this is my second game against Lizardmen ever, only ever having played against Lizardmen back at the FluffyCon tournament back in February, and that was against obviously due to the tournament, quite a soft Lizardman list featuring a lot of cold ones and various other things, and no level 4 Slan or anything, but this guy is normally a Dark Elf player. You've seen him as Dark Elves against, incidentally, a different Lizardman player altogether in a previous battle report, but playing him today with the Tomb Kings, and I'll get straight stuck into it. We've quite an interesting battlefield. I'm just going to talk about the terrain a little bit. We took turns setting up the terrain pieces, and I went for the hill first over on my side. Well, before we picked the sides anyway, I went for the hill on the deployment zone, and he placed the other a forest next to it. So I went by placing the other forest in the far corner, which is outside of the photo, and then we've got a hill over the right hand side and an impassable Ayers rock type formation at the top left. But this really sort of made me think what I could do here is just keep the Scorpions on the left hand flank and hopefully harass or at least to slow down the Stegodons for a while, and then try to win the game in the center and on the right-hand flank. The right-hand flank's looking very good because he's got the Chariots, but he's got a level 4 Slan, which has picked Lore of Beasts, and he's got the ability which allows him to take all 6 spells in the lore. So he's got Beast Cowers, and he's got lots of ways of getting that off because he's a Slan. And yeah. Anyway, as you can see, already talked about the Chariots. In the center, I've got the Casket of Souls and the Catapult on the hill. I've got the Hierophant by himself behind the hill. He's got nothing that can really hit the Hierophant in terms of spells and special abilities. On the far left, I've also got my Swarm actually deploying instead of tunneling this time. And on the far left, you've also got these skeleton melee warriors with hand weapon shields. I'm going to flip to the next photo. We can see the left-hand side of my deployment. You've got the skeleton warriors there, just in a position where they can just swing in between the forest and the archers on the hill and flank charge anything that gets too close. Meanwhile, the Swarm and the entire column of insects there are going to try to delay the Stegodons as long as possible. My left flank is definitely not looking as good as my right-hand flank. Let's go to the next photo where you can see his deployment in its entirety. He's got a small army, but his main point sink is the central unit with the Toad and the Frog, Kermit the Frog as we like to call him. 2 Stegodons on the right-hand side. They're not Engines of the Gods, so that's a good point. He's got a level 4 Mage, but no Engines of the Gods, and I think this would be a very hard army if he did have the Engines as well, as you can imagine. So he's got, on either side, he's got two units of Skinks with 2 Croxagors in them each. He's got 2 units of Saurus Warriors in the middle. In his Slan bunker, as we like to call it, he's got a Saurus Scarblood, or whatever you call All Blood, whatever that's called, veteran in the unit. And that has the ability which gives him a Steed of Shadows on power level 5, so he can make a flying move in the Magic Phase potentially. In the 2 outlying unit, in the Skink units, he's got characters with cold ones. Unfortunately, there's only a cavalry base on the left-hand side to represent that one. This guy's a little bit short of models today, and not all of them are painted, so we'll have to point things out where they show up. But if you look on the picture, on the left-hand side, bottom left, the Skink unit with the Croxagors, there's one black cavalry base there with no model on it. That actually is meant to represent a guy with a magic item that gives him 2 extra attacks. So he's got like 6 attacks at strength 5, weapon skill 5. So he's one to watch out for. The other one is on the far right. And going to go to the next photo where you can see where he deployed his Chameleon Skinks. Not really going to annoy me too much because I can shoot them, but if I don't shoot them, they have got poisoned attacks, which I didn't realize when I was dealing with them initially, but once he started shooting them, that's when I realized that poison attacks really hurts. So there you go. Notice one of his models is actually a little skink head poking out of the base, meant to be like a body of water with the skink hiding half inside of the water. Quite cute. Let's go to the next photo where you see the Lizardmen get the first turn, which is interesting. Pretty much everybody just marching up full speed. The Skinks and Croxagors got movement 6, so they march 12. Everybody else marches 8 in the middle. Stegodon's actually just walking around the forest. One's going on the far side, one's coming in on the inside, and Chameleon Skink's just hanging out there. And his magic phase, fairly uneventful. I think he did get Beast Cowers off on my Chariots on the far right, but Beast Cowers only last until the end of your movement phase, so it prevents the Chariots from moving in my movement phase, but in the magic phase, I've got an opportunity to magic move them. So that's quite a favourable thing about the spell from my perspective. Next photo again, it's the Tomb King's response. You can see my entire battle line bending around in a little curve. It's like the bowl of the Valley of Death kind of thing, with all of my archers doubled up in ranks on the hill, so plenty of shots going into those skinks. Skinks toughness 2, so that's good. And I've got chariots over here to shoot at them as well. And both scorpions moving up on the left-hand flank. Unfortunately, he shot my carrion with a magic missile like Crow's Feast or something, so I've only got one guy left. So the carrion moved down beyond the hill, ready to magic move behind his guys and start march blocking later on. Next picture, this was quite funny. My Hierophant's behind the hill, and my opponent, like sitting on his side of the table, couldn't see the Hierophant, and he couldn't be bothered walking up around the other side of the table, so I was just holding my camera, so I just took a picture and then showed him the picture just so he could see where the Hierophant was. Quite funny how that worked out. So let's skip the next photo. What have I got here? Just going to skip through. So it's this Lizardman turn 2, and he's getting a little bit closer, but the carrion, as you can see, is in the background. I managed to march block some of his units, and in the foreground you've got a unit of skinks with a character in it, which I'm trying to get into a position where I can charge him on his flank with one of the chariots, but haven't managed to spread my chariots far enough around. Partly the reason for that is they've gone slowly due to his spells, so that's what happened there. And over the far right hand side, he hasn't quite moved his Stegodon around, but he's shooting me with blowpipes and stuff, and big massive blowpipes with the bolt thrower effect. Anyway, next photo, here he comes, and the skinks charge out of the jungle in the way of the swarm, and they fire all of their blowpipes, multiple shots on the nearest scorpion, unbelievably rolling like tons of sixes, and took the whole scorpion out because I failed all of my armor saves. So that was one of the most shocking events of the entire game. The scorpion actually removed from play just because a bunch of skinks shot it with poisoned blowpipes. But these things happen when you roll murderously high on your dice. And the Stegodon just getting in position to charge later on. Next picture, love this picture. It's not Tomb Kings. It's Lizardman turn 2, and it's his magic phase, and his character here, the Lizardman on foot character, has an item which goes off at power level 5, and it allows you to use the #1 spell on the Lore of Shadows list, which is Steed of Shadows, and that allows him a flight move, which can be a charge. And he aimed for my Skull Bolt, but he came up 2 inches short, so he's smack bang in the middle of my guys. And as you can see from this beautiful photograph, the king's eyeing him up for a charge there. So that's what I'm going to do on my follow-up turn, but just such a great photo. Next picture, it's Tomb King's turn 2, I believe, and the carrion is still march blocking the center. We've got the chariots moving all the way around over the side here, and my other chariots are moving just to the left to stay out of charge range. The Tomb King have bent around the side a little bit, just getting ready to attack anything that moves too close. And the far left, I've charged the Stegodon with my swarm, and I've got one scorpion left, which is just waiting to back up. And the king has charged his veteran there, his Saurus character, and note the position of the 10 archers on the hill, which have moved slightly forward. In my magic phase, I'm going to move them forward another 4 inches, just to move directly in front of his unit there, to prevent him from charging me and then overrunning to my other stuff. It's just trying to slow him down a little bit. Next picture, over the left-hand side flank, you can see it in a bit more detail what's going on. The swarm's in combat with the steg there, and the scorpion has just positioned himself so that once the steg charges the scorpion, he'll have to align himself to the scorpion and then overrun past the skeleton warrior. So experienced players will know what I'm talking about. If you look at the angle that the scorpion's on, the big dinosaur will have to actually run through him in a direction that takes him to the left of the skeleton warriors rather than into their side. So that's good, and you can see in a bit of better detail what I'm doing with the archers here. Going to move them another 4 inches forward in the magic phase, just so that after he crushes them with the steg and the croc scores behind that, he'll have to roll high dice to actually overrun through to my next lot of guys. Next photo, I'm still taking more photos of the same stuff, just a bird's eye view of the battlefield in the center. Very interesting game so far, really enjoying this one. And there you go. This is what's going to happen. You can see where the Tomb Guard are getting ready to intercept anything that comes too close, just with a charge in there. Alright, so next photo. In my magic phase, I actually shot out with the group of 3 chariots because I didn't get an opportunity to charge his skinks with the crocsagors in them, plus he had a beefed up character in that unit anyway. I've gone for this unit of Saurus warriors. Now, they have been depleted by the Casket of Souls. Apparently there are lots of fans around the world which like me saying the word souls, and so I promise to keep it up. But there used to be like 15 or so Saurus Warriors there, but I managed to nuke like 4 of them with a really high dice roll from the Casket of Souls. And now it's my turn to charge here, but I've got to get a lot of hits here because each Saurus Warrior has got 2 attacks of strength 4, and it's going to be nasty no matter what. So really hoping to do some damage there. So let's go to the next photo.